Guys, these next few months are the holy grail time of fashion. Finally, you aren't going to be melting in your clothing. But if you don't want to end up like this guy, you're gonna have to go shopping. You'll see in the next few weeks that a ton of fall fashion videos start popping up out of nowhere. I'm gonna tell you right now, they're all gonna say the same thing. So instead of going into detail about all that, I'm just gonna go over the things you absolutely need to look fashionable this fall season. Guys, listen closely. Girls, just buy this stuff for your boyfriend and make him wear it. So let's start off with the most important part about dressing in the fall season, layering. Obviously, since I live in New England, fall means it starts getting cold really fast. My and many people's go-to for this time of year is sweaters. They go with pretty much anything. They can be styled in a bunch of ways and can match with a ton of other different types of clothing. You can style them with dress shirts to fit an academia aesthetic. You can also wear them with an undershirt, and you can wear one by itself if the weather allows for it, and they always look classy, comfy, and fashionable all at the same time. While we're on this topic, hoodies are essentially the same as sweaters. Obviously, they're worn pretty frequently throughout the year, but they really peak in the fall season when the weather isn't quite as sweaty, but not freezing yet. So you have a lot of choices in this department. You can wear basic hoodies, you can wear graphic ones, and you can even layer over them with stuff like flannels. Like with hoodies, flannels are really great for staying warm during the fall, but they aren't really typically worn by themselves. That doesn't mean you can't, but living in a cold state, I can reasonably tell you that you're probably gonna be pretty cold if you just wear a flannel. Like hoodies, I'd recommend you get more than one, not only because of the variety of options, but also because if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they are probably just going to steal it, probably like 100% chance. So just make sure you get an extra one. You want these to match your fit well, but it doesn't really have to be perfect. Typically the things that matter when trying to make a layered fit look good with a flannel is to try and match the clothing under it, not necessarily to match the flannel to the rest of your clothes. I mean something kind of like this. Now, I can't have a fall fashion video without talking briefly about coats. Since it isn't quite the coldest part of the year, I'm not going to be talking about stuff that's meant to keep you warm because most people aren't living in the Antarctic during the fall, but pea coats are one of my favorites, mainly because they go really well with turtlenecks or sweaters. They look great almost all the time, no matter how new you are to fashion. Similarly, puff jackets are always good, but it really depends on the temperature where you live. You know, if it's 50 or 60 degrees, which is, I believe, 10 or 15 degrees Celsius, then you're probably going to be a little bit too sweaty during the fall to wear those. But now that you have these essentials, make sure to mix and match because as I mentioned, fall is all about layering and you can sometimes gain a lot when just adding a few extra little components to your outfit. But moving on to pants, these really depend on what kind of vibe you're set on for the day. There are basically 3 levels of bottoms you can wear in the fall. The first is sweats, which typically fit for a more casual look or a streetwear aesthetic, or even for staying in. These might be my favorite for the fall because they're so versatile. You'll see the classic gray Nike sweats with a hoodie and sweats with Air Forces all the time. It's just something that looks fashionable without looking like you live next to SpongeBob in a cardboard box under a bridge. Straight leg chinos are the second level you'll see in the fall because of their ability to be paired with any of the tops I listed earlier. I suppose you could wear jeans here as well, but I think chinos tend to fit better with the general fall aesthetic and for staying warm. I think they look really good with sweaters, with layered hoodies over longer undershirts, and even with pea coats or other jackets. However, you can also make some really amazing fits with some more formal style pants. I just recently picked up some Gurkha pants, which are on the more formal side and tend to work really well with sweaters, turtlenecks, and coats. They look really classy and are amazing for going out. However, they aren't really good for a more casual look and not really something you'd want to wear to go get coffee or stay in. Obviously, you can't go wrong with some other classic dress pants, but due to the material, they can also be a little bit chilly during the fall, so I'd really make sure to do your own research based on where you live. But now you have the main pieces for a solid fall fit. However, depending on the look you're going for, you might want a cap. So before we get to shoes, we have to talk about the staple fall hats to wear. Of course, the S tier hat for the fall has to be the beanie. But before you go out and buy one off my recommendation, keep in mind that beanies sometimes can look amazing for some people and terrible for others. So I'd recommend going to find a video about how to wear a beanie properly and then go from there. But with beanies, they fit really well for a more casual fit. They work really well with fits pants like this, and they tend to mesh really well into outfits with flannels and sweaters. On a similar note, you can still wear baseball caps and other caps like that. However, during the fall, it's going to be a little bit chilly, so they're not really doing you any good, but they do tend to work really well with streetwear fits and a more casual look. So with that out of the way, here's what goes on your feet. So with shoes, similar to pants, there's really about 3 levels. For the first, Converse or Vans or any other kind of flats are amazing for the more casual fall styles. But I'm also going to include the next level, which is other kind of flats or sneakers, kind of like the New Balance 550s or the Nike Air Force. When you can choose from these style of shoes, you can pretty much match any of the styles that I listed earlier. They're great for sweaters, flannels, hoodies, even coats, and they're versatile enough to be matched with any of the pants that I listed. However, for those that prefer a more classic or formal shoe, feel free to choose boots and other shoes that fit better for a more professional look. As I talked about in the past, I really like suede boots, suede Chelseas in particular, or something like this, mainly because they really look good with pea coats and sweaters and other formal looking styles, and they're also warmer for your feet, which is pretty good for the fall, but this isn't really something you should have to worry about depending on where you live. So when you put everything together, it should look something like this. Just make sure to mix and match and try things out. Fashion is really a personal thing, so what someone likes can really be something that somebody else absolutely hates, but the things listed in this video should be a strong enough base that pretty much anybody can respect. I'm on a mission to get to partnered status on YouTube so that I can link stuff in the description to make it a little bit easier for you and for me. So if you liked the video, subscribe and make sure to send it to somebody who can really use some inspiration for this fall season. I really appreciate the support, and I'm looking forward to doing some more interesting, kind of entertaining videos in the coming weeks, so be on the lookout for that. You really won't want to miss it.